welcome back, listeners, to Healthy Mind, Healthy Life. I am your host, Sana, and today we are diving into a topic that's at the core of any meaningful change: big risks, the mental work behind taking big risks, how we can build the confidence to change our life. Now, we often think, listeners, that success comes down to strategy or execution. But you know what I believe? The reality is, it's the mindset that makes us or breaks us. And our guest today, Sarah Stahl, she knows that truth better than most. Now, let me share a bit about Sarah with all of you listeners. After 15 years in marketing and 7 immersed in tourism, Sarah walked away from a secure role as a DMO director in Alabama to help scale a rural treehouse glamping resort. And in just 2 years, she grew it from $200,000 to nearly $1 million in sales. And she later took another leap to launch her own business, helping vacation rental owners build brands that thrive without any third party dependence. So, if you have ever felt paralyzed by fear when standing at the edge of a big decision, a dilemma, frustration, this conversation is for you listeners. We are going to explore how to reframe fear, train your mind for resilience, and finally build that confidence to step into the unknown. So, with that, Sarah, welcome to the show, and I'm really excited to have you here with us.
Thank you. This is such a neat conversation, one I don't hear talked about very often, so I was eager to have it with you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sarah. And I believe, especially in today's modern day and age, we are having a lot of uncertainties, unfortunately. And from the mindset POV, I believe, I mean, it could be harsh, but we need to be prepared. We need to be forearmed before forewarned. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's begin about your journey, Sarah. So you have made some major career leaps. So, what's one moment you remember feeling truly terrified to take the next step, and how did you navigate that fear?
I think every step I've taken, so just a little bit of a backstory, if I may.
Yep.
Um, I actually started in marketing 15 years ago as an independent consultant, contractor, if you will. And so I started what I would call my career in reverse. And then after a life as a military family, we actually shifted to civilian life after almost 20 years of service. And we found ourselves in our 30s with 3 kids starting from absolute scratch. So at that point, it required me to get what I call my first time grown up job. And I became an employee for the very first time. And I did it out of necessity. And, the way that I operate is I always think, I want to do my very best in whatever situation I'm in. So I immediately started thriving in the role, but it started to unpack as, things that people probably learned early on in their career about trusting their coworkers and their bosses and all that was kind of an alarming thing to me in my 30s after being independent. So that hit me a bit harder, I think, because I already knew what the taste of independent entrepreneurship felt like. And so, over the course of 7 years, I had 3 different, head of marketing roles, and each of them, I reached that same point of, this is this operating this way in a box, is really stifling to creativity and to living a free life. And so it never settled with me, and I wasn't sure why. I wasn't sure if 'cause maybe the role wasn't the right fit, or maybe I didn't have, the right team that I was working with. I could never really put my finger on it until my most recent role, and looking back, we always have, hindsight is 2020. You don't live life, looking forward, you learn looking back, and so looking back to answer your question, I always came to the same realization, I guess, or understanding that I was dependent on a role in order to make myself feel secure in my life. And I just wasn't okay with that because if we look at history and, we can call out lots of successful people, they all have the same story. And the story is they took a leap of faith. They had bravery that others feel like they don't have. And they made a choice to go out on a limb to accomplish something great. But I actually don't think any of those people are necessarily special. I think we all have that capability. I think our mind just gets in the way of it because of the cultural norms or the um, the things that we've been have been trained into us from childhood just kind of take hold, and we think this is how life is and this is how it operates and this is where I have to stay. But I think that's actually the thing that causes us so much frustration in life as people is we have this desire that something has been put in us that we want to see come to life, but we feel like we can't because we're bound by rules that we think are keeping us safe.
No, I absolutely agree. Yes, I mean that's there's a difference, and um, if I personally also would like to add to this, there are definitely especially external factors when we are thinking of even taking risks, whether it's a career or any personal from any aspect about ourselves, because could be it's because of the culture or upbringing, or how we would be able to provide justifications or answers to those questions barging on us like from all the sides. So that kind of really affects our mindset when we think about taking some really good risks for ourselves.
I agree. And I think a common fear, and I don't have any of this all figured out. I live on two principles. I follow the Lord and I trust my gut. So I do not have anything figured out, and I just always am going off of what my gut is telling me based off of the wisdom that I've been gifted. So, the biggest fear, I think we all share the same fear. And that's what if all these skills that I've learned and built upon that have helped other people grow and thrive,
Mhm.
can I use them for myself? And what if I fail? And that, the modern term for that we use a lot and hear a lot is imposter syndrome. And that's this idea that there's somebody out there that could do it better than me. Why would I even try?
Hmm.
And I feel like, I don't regret any of the twists and turns that I've taken in my career. I don't regret working for somebody else. I don't regret any of that. I don't regret all the failures that I've made as an entrepreneur prior to those years. All of those have brought me to where I am now. And even being able to talk to you about any of this today, like you have to learn those pains and you have to do the work to grow through them and make choices that allow you to kind of dig yourself out of holes that maybe bad choices have caused. And so the idea or the biggest fear is that, hey, all the success that I've done for somebody else, can I even do it for myself? And that was what was holding me back from going back out on my own over the past 7 years working for different organizations as head of marketing is maybe I'm better because I'm secure. Maybe because I have that security, I'm working better than I would on my own because entrepreneurs, I've experienced this myself. I see it over and over again with entrepreneurs. There are freak out moments that we have
Mm.
that we tend to put that energy on our clients or potential clients.
Yeah.
And a lot of the mental energy that we carry for worrying or fear, or even the opposite of confidence and understanding that this is all going to work out, that energy is exuded in our conversations, in our body language. Um, so once I realized
Mhm.
in my last role with the glamping resort, um, there is when it all kind of came together for me. Probably because of my age and now in my mid-40s and, I've lived some life and things have just kind of started to click. And I thought, "You know what? I have been duplicating success in the same format for others for so long. Why can't I do this for myself?" I know that I can. And I also have seen it takes about a year or 2 of consistent work, networking, um, just showing up with a positive and confident energy to make that shift. So I thought, I don't have anything to lose. I'm going to try it. So I'm in month 4 of doing this for myself. And I'm shocked at the results.
Mm. That is so empowering, Sarah. So many thoughts coming up in my mind, especially um as you mentioned that when we are in tough situations, when there's a lot happening, uh, you know, and that subconsciously or consciously revolves in our minds. That particular um energy, it gets exhibited in your conversations, even if in the podcast episodes I do sometimes when I'm having a really personal tough time, maybe something happening, I really um don't feel like, or I believe that I'm not able to give my best into it. So I connect with you on that. And secondly, as you mentioned that you are, touching your glorious 40s. I think, especially for women, it can be such a beautiful phase of reclaiming themselves. I mean, definitely, there are definitely some amount of awareness, active engagement, conversations, guidance, tools, and channels to definitely um, take from. But I believe it's such a glorious phase, especially in any
I
life.
I agree with you so much. I keep I have 3 groups that I'm wildly active in. 2 of them are online and professional based, and they're very strategic. And then one is personal, and I have a hiking group of women, and I'm actually the youngest in the group. And we've been hiking together for 3 years now. And we're all wildly different. We're nothing like each other. We have very different paths, very different upbringings, which I think is beautiful. But you know what? We're all experiencing the same transition in life, just from the perspective of being a woman.
Mm.
And we're all noticing the same thing. We trust our gut wildly. And those are things that I would have never said 10, 15 years ago.
Same way. Me too. Me too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I think women are gifted with intuition. I think that that's a gift that men don't have. I think men have other gifts that women don't have. But I actually think that our most powerful gift is intuition. And I think, back to doing the mindset work, um, if I could just backtrack for just a second, about 5 years ago, our family experienced a horrific tragedy. I think a lot of families can relate to that. We all have tragedies in our life that we have to overcome, or it crushes us, and some people never recover. And I was determined to, I don't think you ever fully recover from a tragedy, but I was determined not to allow it to crush me. I wanted to learn from it and grow from it.
Mm.
And so, one of the books that I read during that time that I now read every year is called The Four Agreements. And I'm not sure if you've read that book before.
What about it on the thread?
I always suggest it actually caught me off guard. Of my therapist actually recommended it to me, so I was thinking it was like on the medical side, of how the brain works, and
Mhm.
it completely caught me off guard. It was nothing like what I was expected, but it was exactly what I needed. And so now I read it every single year to remind me that there are things that we can do to help our mind that gets us out of the ruts that we're in, right? Because we all get in ruts. And for some reason, the way that our minds are made, we focus heavily on the negative. And so after reading this book, and there's four principles that I actually have it on my desk. One is be impeccable with your word, which means only say what you mean to say. um, and sometimes the things we mean to say, they're harsh things to hear,
Hmm.
but that's okay. They don't have to be said in anger or frustration, but that doesn't mean we have to soften it. And vice versa. Sometimes we need to say the soft things confidently. Another is don't take anything personally.
Yep.
So, a lot of times when you're building a business, especially, there's like different um, nuances and things that kind of like, oh, that hit me the wrong way, or why did that person talk about me that way, or I don't like how they're representing my business, or there's all kinds of just like little nuances that hit us funny. But what if every single time that happened, hundreds of times a day that happens, we said to ourselves, that has nothing to do with me. I'm not going to take it personally.
Hmm.
So that's the third is don't make assumptions. So especially as women, and because we have so much intuition, we tend to assume a lot of things. Like we make up all these ideas about why our husband was late from work, right?
Yep.
Or we make up all these ideas about the three women over there, why they're looking at me and what they're saying about me, right? So we make all these assumptions, and the book has helped me practice all of these. And so when those pop up, I have done the work, and I continue to do the work. It's ongoing to remind myself that's an assumption. I don't know the truth. And the last principle is to always do your best. And even as you mentioned earlier, sometimes, you don't feel like you're at your best.
Hmm.
But even when we're at 50%, we have a best to give at that time, and that's okay.
Yep.
It's okay if it's at 50%. We're human. And I think that that's the if we take a step back and look at what's happening around the world and in culture and in humanity, I think the beautiful thing about the chaos of our world right now is a lot of people are coming to the realization that we're just human and it's not that big a deal. We don't need to be taking everything so seriously. And yeah, and I actually love that. I'm not like a big believer in humanity at large just because of the decline of so many things. But that point I hold to when I get frustrated at humanity because I'm like, well, in general, the sentiment seems to be it's okay to wear um casual clothes and show up, for an interview with a messy bun and sneakers, right? Like it's fine. Like, cause everyone kind of has this underlying sense of we're all struggling and doing our best to get to through the day, and why we should be okay with what our best is today.
Yeah. That is right. That is right. And I mean, in the interest of time, Sarah, before we wrap up, I think, especially when we come to risk taking, and as we come to realize that yes, we are humans, we may make mistakes, we may face failure. It's a part of that journey. Then there's definitely an aspect here that sometimes. Constant failure, it can be a sign that you are on the wrong path. So what's your thing on this, Sarah?
Oh my goodness. I'm like, okay, I've been married for almost 25 years, and this particular point is what my husband and I always joke, like, this is the thing that's gonna put us in couples therapy. Um, my husband's a very steady man. So he likes security. He likes to know this is what's happening every month and he can rely on that, right? So I cause him a lot of heartache because I'm always shifting with like, this doesn't feel right. Or, just like a lot the pastorals, they worked for a time and then they didn't feel right at a time, right? And so there's a couple of things that have made mind shifts possible. And it has to do with like also how I communicate to my husband to build trust with him. So first and foremost, what's made my mind shift possible is everything is rooted in faith. Through biblical truths, I have a relationship with Jesus Christ that grounds me. And now that I'm in my 40s, I feel like it's moved from logic to my heart. And so I feel more unmovable, right? So if I understand that my gut's leading me in a direction, I feel confident that that's where I need to go because I think life is very fluid. And the idea of challenging security, I think that security is a mirage. I mean, I have no more security building a business than somebody who's, I mean, look at what just happened with Microsoft and Booking.com. I mean, like, there is no security. There's no such thing, right? So finding security within yourself, regardless of what's happening around you, is important. And then I think having a diverse community
Yeah.
of people who don't just look and sound like you allows you to practice empathy,
Mm.
um, and, understanding the world around you in a way that challenges you to grow. Because I think we get scared when we lock ourselves in a box, surround ourselves with people just like us, and then when we, like, our foot goes out of that box, feels really uncomfortable because we're like, "This is what I know." But I think when you stay within that comfort zone, that's where it becomes challenging to make a change or make a leap or go out on a limb, because you haven't practiced being uncomfortable and working through that.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. Especially the one which you mentioned about, having a diverse community, because if everyone is agreeing with you, it's kind of your, echo chamber, that
Mhm.
everyone is thinking the same way you are. So there is no constructive criticism or, you know, uh, to give you different opinions, because that will really give you a reality check. So I think that one really, really resonated with me.
Great. Well, the cool thing is none of us have this figured out, and I think that that's why conversations like this are so important.
Yeah.
Because I think it encourages other people who maybe, if they're on social media or something and they're watching people with big brands and they're like, gosh, I wish I could get there someday, or I wish I could accomplish that someday. But that hasn't come without work and without taking risks. And what's portrayed, if I think we all know this by now, what's portrayed isn't necessarily completely accurate. So I think we need to be comfortable going in the directions that feel right to us
Mm-hmm.
and not what we're seeing that maybe is right for somebody else.
True. Absolutely true. So, Sarah, if our listeners they would like to connect with you, what would be the best way?
Yeah, the easiest way is they can find me through my website, sarahstahl.com. And there I have lots of links to follow me on social or just email me or talk that way.
Awesome. I'll make sure to have all the links and details in the show notes. And Sarah, such a real conversation. Thank you so, so much. Because, what I feel from here is that taking big risks, it isn't about having it all figured out, but it's definitely about cultivating the mindset to trust ourselves through the unknown. So, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So, to all the listeners out there, if you are listening and you are at crossroads in your life or business, I hope today's conversation gives you that permission to take one bold step forward. Even if it's a baby step, it's a small step. And thank you to all of you for tuning into Healthy Mind, Healthy Life. Until then, this is your host, Sana, signing off.